Human Development and its Scope by Dr. Sujata Gupta Kedar. Before moving to the webinar, I humbly request all the participants to strictly follow the guidelines of the webinar. Make sure that you muted your audio and video for better quality of the program and also not screen. We know that human development deals with the development of a child from consumption to old age and the developmental tasks pertaining to the each stage in life. For starting the session, let me invite Dr. Tara Sebastian, Head of the Department and Professor in Human Development, Department of Home Science and Center for Research, St. Teresa's College, Ernakulam, for introducing today's research person. Welcome, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Adira?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, very much.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Dr. Tara Sebastian, Head of the Department of Home Science and Center for Research, St. Teresa's College, Ernakulam. Welcome you all to this academic session on the topic Scope of Human Development or Child Development. Our Department of Home Science and Center for Research is in the 62nd year of establishment and is the best institute for pursuing home science education in Kerala. Postgraduate degree in child development was introduced in the year 1965. We also have two other postgraduate degrees in resource management and interior designing and food science and nutrition. I'm proud to say that our department was the first research center for home science under MT University, Kerala, started in 1985, and a number of students have completed their doctorate degrees from the department. Today's session on the scope of human development. We are very privileged to have here with us Dr. Sujata Gupta Kedar, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Human Development, Mount Carmel College, Bangalore. Dr. Sujata obtained her PhD in 2004 and is an approved research guide for PhD. She is the founder member of the Department of Human Development at Mount Carmel College. She is also a resource person for NIPSET, coordinator for diploma course in Montessori at Mount Carmel College, Bangalore, has conducted workshops for adolescent girls on teenage issues, workshops for elderly and homemakers, organized international and national seminars and conferences, initiated awareness campaigns on issues like dowry, child abuse, domestic violence, etc. Apart from this, she is on the Board of Studies and Board of Examinations for various government bodies and various colleges and universities. She has around 37 publications in national and international journals and conferences. She also writes articles for Times of India, Bangalore. She has conducted many webinars related to the field of human development and psychology. She is a board member for various NGOs of Rajasthan and has been a consultant for aspirants who want to start an NGO or an early childhood center. Dr. Sujata, we are very happy to have you as the resource person for this session on scope of human development, and we offer a hearty welcome, and we are looking forward to hearing from you, ma'am, on the scope of human or child development in the present scenario in India and abroad. On behalf of the Home Science Association of India Kerala chapter, I welcome all the participants to this academic session on human child development. Thank you. Hello.
Sujata, ma'am.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you so much. Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I thought I was telling to myself.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Tara, for having me here for this webinar. And I also like to thank you, HSAI Kerala chapter, for inviting me for this, to give us talk on human development and its scope. In fact, I'm very delighted to be here to give a talk on this because I'm very passionate about human development, and I have actually been with human development, and it's like into my blood right now. I mean, all these years I've been working for human development to actually bring it to that standards where I really want to tell people that human development is one of the most important subject in home science. And therefore, I recently finished with a conference, international conference on human development and its scope, international conference I did. Thank you so much. So I'll start my session. And since the topic of today is human development and its scope, I wanted to just share my screen before I start. Can you see my screen, please?
Not yet, ma'am.
Can you now see it?
No.
But I've shared it, I think.
No, ma'am, it's not visible.
Can you see it now? No.
Not visible.
Okay, what shall I do then? Can you help me in that? I am a little new on Google actually. But
There is a sharing screen option.
That is present now, right?
Yes.
I've
Yes,
pressed on that and I've shared the entire screen. So I'll do it again.
Okay, please, ma'am.
So I'll start the session with a quote. The contrast between what great things human beings can achieve and what limited lives most women and men end up living is truly remarkable. Now, this quote will tell you the potentials a human being have, okay? And it is his choice whether to do great things in life or you want to limit it, based on his choice. So this quote actually suggests that human beings they have a potential to do anything in life. They can make their life, they can break their life. Okay, so, and I also want to have share a quote saying, people are the real wealth of nations. I'm sure everybody agrees to that. A lot of youngsters will say, no, technology is the wealth. No, people are the real wealth of nations. And when I say that, I mean to say that the technology, the planet, everything, whatever is there is getting affected only by human beings, right? So if there is a advancement in the technology, who's responsible? Human beings are responsible. If there is a deterioration in the environment, who is responsible? Human beings are responsible. So therefore I say that for nations, wealth is humans, right? And therefore the human development is very, very important. So the objective of development is actually to create an enabling environment for people to enjoy long, healthy, and creative lives. Okay, so this is the quote by Mehbul Haq, and he was an economist, and he gave this quote, and you need to understand the role of human developmentalist. So your role is to actually enable the environment to help people to enjoy long, healthy, and creative lives. So if you are a human development professional, please keep that in your self, that you are here for a purpose. Okay, and you need to understand that humans are unique creatures, right? They are very unique creatures because they have free will. You can choose. You want to, whatever you want to do, it is up to you. But there is a lot of lot of things, lot of choices that you can make. You have a decision making abilities, so you can decide whether to go whatever path you want to go. But at the same time, there are opposable thumbs. And when I say opposable thumbs, I'm saying that everything, development is usually progressive. I mean, most of the times we'll say it is progressive. Yes, it is progressive, but then there will be hurdles there. And when I say hurdles, there will be difference of opinions. There will be you will not be able to accept people as they are, and you have different taste and interests. So you may end up into conflicts, into maladjustments, into maltreatments, etc. So therefore human development becomes even more important field, for people to study, right? So if I've taken this definition directly, if you Google search, you will get this definition, that is, human development refers to the biological and psychological development of the human beings throughout the lifespan. It consists of the development from conception, prenatal, postnatal, infancy, childhood, and adolescence to adulthood. The scientific study of psychological human development is sometimes known as developmental psychology. Now, I need all of you to understand that, a lot of people, when my students come to me, they say, ma'am, whenever we say, some people asks us, what do you study? And we tell them human development, and most of them do not understand what is human development. And they just look at us and they wonder, what is human development? So I would want to make it very easy for all of you. If people who are not understanding what is human development, there is another name for that, and that is developmental psychology. So you are actually studying developmental psychology. Okay, so the human development is also known as developmental psychology. It is also known as lifespan psychology, lifespan development study. Okay, so you can explain this to people, so it becomes easy. Now, if I talk from the point of view of a human development professionals, what you have to do, it is the expansion of people's freedom to live long, healthy, and creative life. So this is your role as a human developmentalist. And therefore, we say people are both beneficiaries because they are getting benefited. And who are the drivers of human development? We are the drivers. The people are the drivers for human development as individuals and in groups. Yes? So why human development? A lot of people ask me this question, why human development? Because it is unique. Yes, I'm sure everybody agrees to that it is unique. And when I say it is unique, it means that, you can associate human development to your day-to-day lives. Yes, you can relate your human development to any subject of study like sociology, psychology, economics. HDI's UNDP is talking about human development index, so it is more about economics. Okay. So a lot of, you can relate it to anthropology, you can relate it to medical, okay, medicine. That is also, so therefore we can say that it is an interdisciplinary field, right? It is an interdisciplinary field, and it is a combination of both theory and practice, right? So when I say theory and practice, I want to give you an example of this. When I was doing my MSc, I was very much interested in parenting. So I used to read books on parenting. And when I was reading those books, I used to feel that, it was written in the books, you should not beat your children. That was the learning that I got from there, that, parents should not beat their children, or, hit them, or do any physical abuse or physical thing to them. So I used to think, no, it is not possible. It's like 20 years back, and when I look back, and I used to think that, no, it is not possible. I mean, it's very, very, sometimes you really need to hit your children because they don't listen to you. So but what happened was, that was a theory part that was going in my mind. And so when I became mother, and I have twins, and so I made a conscious decision. I took a conscious decision to not to beat them. I mean, I really used to be very, very, there was a self-regulation in me, and I really practiced it. I really practiced it, and I used to communicate with my children. So what happened, now they are 16 years of age, and they have turned out to be a beautiful adults, going to be adults. So I really feel that human development is, whatever you learn in your theory is actually practical. It is actually scientific. So therefore you should study human development. Yeah, it has relevance across the lifespan. Yes, so we are studying from conception to death and the post-death. So therefore, human development is very, very important. And then it has a personal application along with the professional application. So you go in any of the field, whether it is related to human development or not related to human development, you will see, if you have studied human development, there is a personal growth that happens, right? So that will definitely happen. You will see that you are better off than people who haven't studied it. Okay. Then there's one more thing that I wanted to tell you is, it is nested in the context of it is the close environment of ours. So it is something which is very close to us, and that is your schools, your neighborhood, your, so the contextual part is something very close. You are living in that environment, and you're studying it, so that becomes even more unique, right? So what can you expect from a human development degree? First thing I would say, if you're really interested in children, if you want to really work for adults or elderly, or any section of the society where you want to work with people who are vulnerable groups, you want to work with disabled groups, you want to work with transgenders, you want to work with, if you have that kind of interest, you should opt for human development degree. No, it is very important for you to opt for this degree. This is the perfect degree for you if you are looking for that kind of career. Why? Because there are many roads into this career, in the social service, in the counseling, in the medical care, education, research. So if you are want to do all of that, please opt for it. Now, now there is another confusion that a lot of people have. A lot of my students also ask me, ma'am, if we have to compare psychology with human development, what should we take? So both are good. I'll not say, and human development is a refined psychology. So it's more refined kind of a psychology. In psychology, you're more general psychology is what you study. Here you're studying developmental psychology. So with a psychology degree, it is one way of getting to know your mind, right? So we actually know our mind with a psychology degree, but with a human development degree, it combines psychology with sociology, biology, and linguistics to give you a more holistic view of the mind and body, right? So you must be studying, there are array of subjects that you're studying in your human development. So you'll cover sciences, but you will also be exposed to social aspects of humans, such as how we relate to stress, abuse, death, work, right? So you learn about human development from birth through adulthood and into the later years. So that is what you need to expect from your degree, right? Now, general guidance on training, on career planning is what I wanted to give you, from career exploration to career commitments. And I feel this is more of a role of teachers who are teaching human development should play. Now, when you are in your degree, when you're studying your human development subjects, first thing that you need to build transferable skills. Now, what are transferable skills? So when I talk about transferable skills, I'm talking about communication skills. So which is very important. You need to develop that. Now, when you take admission in your BSc or your MSc, you should you make it a point that you are doing a lot of presentations, and I'm sure teachers should make it a point to do this with their students, because most of the times I've seen that children are well, they have the knowledge, but they do not know how to express it. So you need to build that in the 2 years. So you should know how to speak effectively and write concisely, listening carefully, and providing feedback. That is very important. Expressing your own ideas, okay? Negotiating and persuading others, and developing rapport with others. Now, why do I say that you need to develop these transferable skills? I'll let you know first, before, let me finish with the transferable skills. So you should have leadership and management skills, okay? That is very important. So that you should learn during your time when you're studying, when you're a student, okay? So you need to manage groups, because in a career, in any of the career in human development, whichever career you enter, you need to manage groups, okay? You need to delegate responsibilities to people. you need to plan, you need to coordinate tasks. So these are the things that you have to do. You have to solve problems and manage conflicts. So these will be your part of your job profile that you will be doing, making and implementing decisions, and motivating and coaching and training others. So these are the things that you will be doing. Apart from this, there is the other transferable skill, that is planning and research skills, that you should develop when you are studying your MSc post graduation or your UG. Then teamwork and interpersonal skills is very, very important for all of you to learn, okay, during that time. And then self-management skills is what you should know how to manage your own emotions, your own time, your priorities. All of that is very, very important for you to manage. Now, why do I say that you need to have these transferable skills if you want to have a career in human development? Now, one of the career is in human development is working with NGOs. NGOs are non-government organizations. So you are going to work in NGOs, right? Now, the key features of any NGO, if you look at an NGO, they have these key features. One is you need to build the capacity. So when you are in an NGO, your work will be building capacities of others. Okay, and those are mostly the people who are in rural areas. So communication skills are very, very important there, because if you do not know how to communicate, you won't be able to build the capacity, because there is a whole lot of changing the mindset of people when you work with NGOs. You are there, your goal is to bring behavior change in people. So if you are not good at communication, you will have a problem. So the local language that you know, it's not important to learn English. I mean, it's a little bit of English is important, but then if you are interested in working with say in social field, you should have communication. At least you should know the local language, which is very, very important. Okay, and then the other part is so one is capacity building. So NGOs build the capacities of people. Then second thing is networking. Networking is very, very important. So in NGOs, when you work, you need to build networks. So you have to work with, say, UNICEF, funding organizations, other NGOs, other bodies, other government bodies. So a lot of things and you will be part of that. So when you are doing that, so your interpersonal skills should be very, very good. Okay, so you should work on your interpersonal skills. You should work on your leadership, planning, all of that. Okay, then the third very important feature of NGO is advocacy. So people who are working, they when they are in their working with NGOs, they might have a job profile of advocating. Supposing you want to bring a change and you want to take it to, say, to the government level, where you want to really bring change. So you need to know how to communicate this to people, how to manage your team, and how to put it forth to the higher bodies. So that is what you should be knowing. So that is why transferable skills are very, very important for you to learn. Then you're working at a grassroots level. I told you, when I'm saying working at a grassroots level, you are working with people who are in rural areas. They do not know your polished English and all of that. So you need to learn to speak in their language, their accent, their slang, and all of that. So you need to build that while you are in your 2 years or 3 years of your education. Okay, then you need to understand your job availability, right? Now, when I say job availability, I mean to say that whichever job you're looking for, okay, you need to see what will be your job profile. Okay, what will be your role, your duties in that job. So you have to be very, very clear about that. What will be your work schedules? Because if you're taking a career in human development, your work schedules can be flexible, because if you don't have time for, say, work for 8 hours, you can opt for a job which is for 4 hours or 3 hours or 2 hours. So it is not something where that it is quite flexible. So you need to check on that. Then, do you have a skill? So if you are a people's person, you can opt for a teaching skill, or for a teaching job, or for a NGO job. But if you're not a people's person and you're more of a person who stays within themselves, you can take a job of content writing, writing books for people, stuff like that. So you need to check what is your skill, okay? What are you good at, okay? And what do you want to accomplish? So if you can just take a little time for yourself and see deep inside what do you want, then I think the career commitment becomes easier. Then what are your skills, interests? So what do you care about? So some people love working with human beings, some people find it very challenging to work with special needs children. So you have to see what do you want to work and what are you good at doing to help. Okay, so the central task for career exploration is figuring out how your skills map into your specific career. After your major degree, after your degree in human development, students should develop basic skills such as computer literacy, oral and written communication, theoretical knowledge of interdisciplinary perspectives of lifespan development. You should learn theories, okay? It is very important to learn behavioral theories and perspectives, okay? Then research skills are also one of the most important skills that you should be developing while you are in your studies. Application ability, so you should know how to apply the knowledge in the field, in your work, in your research, in other settings. So that is very, very important. Then you should appreciate diversity, because when you are a human developmentalist, you will be working, supposing you are working with, say, early childhood years, early childhood education. So what will happen? There will be children from different cultures. So you should learn to appreciate that knowledge or an understanding of ways in which culture, gender, social class and more may influence developmental processes. So all that is what you need to understand. Now, so those who are interested in academics can opt for postgraduate diploma in guidance and counseling, masters in counseling, masters in education. Apart from masters in human development and family studies, you can opt for all these things. And there are modalities like face-to-face, distance learning, or blended, whatever way you want to study, that is up to you. Those who are interested in research, so some people may be interested in higher studies, and I would suggest most of the students to go for research, because it will give you a better picture of human development. So try and do research, especially in your masters. Please, all of you should do your masters, which is a good option. So master, because you have a bit of research in that as a master's dissertation. So you are studying, doing research there. So you will understand a little bit of research there. Nowadays, few colleges are also doing at a UG level. So I think, so if they are doing it, I think a little bit of idea about research at the UG level is also happening nowadays. Then you can do your PhD in human development and family studies, or human development or child development. Then there is a postdoctoral research, and you get a lot of grants for research. The government is giving a lot of grants for research projects, okay, fellowships. So you write your net and you can get fellowships and research projects. That also you can do. Okay, so there are a lot of options if you are into research, because government is interested in people, to do research. So the funding organizations are like UGC, ICSSR, UNICEF, Azam Premji, USEFI, Foundations of Child Development, funding agencies for projects, and a lot of other projects, other funding agencies are there. You can check. Then if you want to make career, in human development, apart from education, apart from your research, you can have your careers in social work, counseling and psychology, teaching and education, advocacy and non-profit work, business careers, health careers, research. So in social work, working in this field, so what I would suggest to the students is, whenever you have these summer breaks, okay, or you have these 15 days break, or a 1 month break, please do some internship, do a short internship. Okay, so because when you do a short internship, or when you do the summer school or something of that sort, it will help you to understand the job much better. Before you actually go into a real world, you can understand it beforehand. Okay, and then you can decide whether you want to take up that job or you don't want to take up that job. So it's better that you in between whatever 15-20 days that you get, please go and do this internships. Okay, so you may not be having a time to do, say, a full day internship. You can do a half a day internship. You can do say 3 hours internship in a day. That kind of internships also you can do. Okay, now there are a lot of internships that are happening that UN organizations are giving. So if you go on the sites of United Nations, you will see that there are internships, but you have to apply for these internships a year back, a year before. You cannot do it just instant. It won't happen just instant. So if you are like willing to do an internship, say after a year, you should apply now. It's very important to apply now. Okay, and so that is very, very important. So there are a lot of opportunities for students to pursue this kind of career, to do so therefore first please get into these jobs and see whether it interests you or not. Okay, so for social work, just after your graduation, you can be a social worker. You can assist social and human service, people, officers, youth and family services. So you can be in all of that. Then you can be in counseling, marriage and family therapy, substance abuse, behavioral disorder counselor, mental health. So a mental health counselor, rehabilitation counselor, and school and career counselor. A lot of my students are working as school and career counselors in international schools right now. And one of my students is working as a marriage and family therapy, but she has done a course in that after finishing her master's in human development. A 6 months course is what she did, and that's how she got this job. Okay, so you need to for anything that you do, you need to do a 6 months course or a certificate course, because these are all the specialized fields. Okay. Then in teaching and education, human development students can work in childcare centers, early childhood centers, right? Youth service organizations, adult education, childcare workers. They can work as childcare workers, youth workers, teaching assistants, adult literacy, health educators, preschool teachers, preschool and childcare center directors. You can be coordinators in the early childhood centers, special education teacher, recreation therapists, recreation leadership, elementary school teacher, high school teacher. A lot of my students are working as teachers in international schools. And one of my students is working as a recruitment officer in one of the international schools. So children a lot of students are working there. So if I talk about careers in early childhood care and education, so these can be your work profile. This is what you can do. You can be teacher, daycare worker, supervisor, administrator, head of these organizations. Then you can be into career designer. You can design careers. You can develop a preschool program. You can develop program for learning difficulties, beginning language, math program, designing teaching learning materials, which is now, designing toys and play material and teaching the learning materials. The government right now is very much interested in that, and there are a lot of research happening on this, and they are ready to fund. So I think this is the next, what do you say? People will really be interested in that, and you will have avenues in toys and play materials. So now they want local materials to be used for children, for adults, for adolescents and everything. So it will have a lot of avenue in the future, I'm sure. So the next thing that you can do is write stories for children. So this is also very, very important. Most of the books are in English, so you can think of having storybooks in your own local languages. You can be part of that. So if you browse on the net, you will get a lot of opportunities for writing books. Okay, so only thing is you have to tap on that. I mean, you have to really go after it and say, yes, I want to do this. Okay, so then designing content books, text and workbooks, that is also what you can do after studying your human development. Counseling for early childhood, for parents, and early identification and related programs. Then development programs for children with challenges. Then you can do like I already told you what the NGOs are doing. They are doing a lot of advocacy and non-profit work. So what you can do is you can join your hands with local and national organizations like NIPSID. So with NIPSID, you can work with Save the Children, World Bank, Teach for India. Okay, UN organizations, as I already told you, is one way of getting into, after doing this, because they look for human development people. They want human development people. So if you look at the newspaper sometimes, or you go on the UN organizations, you have to be very, very vigilant, because a lot of people eye on that. So you should keep an eye on that and keep applying for this. Okay, but I'll tell you, only thing is, before they look for people who have already worked at a grassroots level. So because in UN organizations, you really have to work at a grassroots level. You have to work in fields. Okay, you can't work in an AC room. You really have to go out in the fields and work. So therefore, they look for people who have an experience of working for 3 to 5 years in the fields. So you first have to opt for working in an NGO. So after you take experience from there, then you may get a chance to work in an UN organization. So you have to do a lot of hard work and do this. Okay, so and so you can also be involved in extracurricular activities like fundraising, event planning, program coordination. Okay, all of that when you're in a non-profit organizations. So if you're good at fundraising, please opt for it. Please do that. That kind of job profile is what you can opt for. If you're good at event planning, please you can opt for that kind of a job. Okay. Now business. So if I talk about business, if you have people skills, you have a really good communication skills, you have a good interpersonal, skill, relationship skill. So then you can opt for this, because then you can have your own business. You can start your own early childhood center. You can start your own. One of my student has started her own counseling center. Okay, so she is managing the entire center, and doing counseling for parents, for children. So you can also, if you have that skill, you can opt for that. You can start. One of my students has started a early childhood school. I mean, she has a school right now, and she has opened her second branch during the lockdown, which was quite surprising for me. So I think it is going to turn into a franchisee very soon. So if you have that skill, I think that is what you can do. Then health, lot of I would say now in today's scenario, child life services is one place where a human development student can apply for. And what is child life services, or what is a child life practitioner? Actually, he's a trained professional with expertise in helping children and the families to cope with being in the hospital. So children who are into the hospitals, so the child life practitioners are helping those children to live normally. So basically they look at see, supposing a child has a problem, so he's a cancer patient. So it is the right of the child to live a normal life. I mean, the other developments of the child should be normal. So they have kept child life practitioners to help them to cope with their illness. Okay, with hospitalization, with treatment, with procedures. So a child life, you can browse and check. A child life practitioner is one upcoming job prospect for a human development student. Now again, I would say one of my student has worked for 2 years in Manipal Hospital as a child life practitioner. Okay, so they are trained on the job. So when they take the job, they are trained for 2 months, and people are coming from US to train them, and they are trained, and then they start working there. So this is how a child life practitioner works. Okay. Then occupational therapy, lot of scope outside India for an occupational therapist. So it is basically a branch of healthcare that helps people of all ages who have physical, sensory, or cognitive problems. So you're giving a lot of you're giving therapies to them, and so it has a wide scope outside India. You can be in health educator, life skill coach, wellness coach, mental health, mental well-being coach, anything. I mean, you can opt for any of the options because you will be trained in a lot of things when you finish your master's in human development. Then you can opt for part-time jobs, whatever jobs you want to do. So there are part-time jobs in NGOs, government organizations, human rights commissions, social welfare organizations, UN organizations. Okay, so whatever part-time jobs I told you, it is hourly basis also you can do. You can write projects for NGOs because NGOs sometimes are not. I have written projects for 4 or 5 NGOs because they don't know how to write. So because they it's very important for them to have a good writing skills. A lot of NGOs people do not have that. So what happens is you can write projects for them. Okay, you can help them. You can give support to them. Okay, so now this is the list of NGOs in Bangalore. So I don't think this is of your interest because this is more of a Kerala thing that you want. This is the United Nations agencies in India. So these are the list of all of that. There are some 27 organizations where you can just browse and see in your on net, and you will get the idea what each of the organization is doing. Okay. So if you want to find an NGO of your interest, okay, supposing you really want to find an NGO of your interest, there is a government website that is ngo.darpan.government.gov.in. Okay, you will go on that NGO Darpan. There are section-wise categories. So you click on that and you will get, supposing you're interested in, say, working with children, you will get the list of NGOs under that. If you are not looking for that, you can look on the same website for there is a list based upon the state-wise, the state-wise NGO. So you click on that and you will find Kerala. You can click on Kerala and you will get a list of, there are around 700 NGOs in Kerala who are working for women, children, transgenders, and other vulnerable sections. So I think if you just browse, you will get the list, and then you see whether you are interested. And there on that same NGO, on that same website, you will also see there are blacklisted NGOs. Now, a lot of NGOs are being blacklisted, okay, where you don't have to go. So there are lists. There is a list given on that website. So you can actually do a little bit of research and get what you are interested in. Then if you're looking for a government jobs, please go on employmentnews.gov.in because you can become a consultant. If you want to become a consultant in any government, Ministry of, Women and Child Health, you can be a consultant there. So they keep on, on a regular basis, there are opportunities that they keep on putting it on in the employment news, and then you can apply for that. And I think that is all I can understand right now. If you have any questions, I think you can ask me, or you can send me an email. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sujata Gupta Khera, for the wonderful presentation on the various scopes of human development. Now, the session is open for discussion. I request audience for kindly post your queries in the chat box. Or you can directly ask to the resource person. Is there any query?
Please feel free to ask. I mean, this is one opportunity you have.
Yes.
I think.
Okay, ma'am, there is a question. Can a human development person can involve themselves in diplomacy jobs offered by the government?
Yes, you can.
Mayuri Pal.
Yes, Mayuri, you can be part of that. Only thing is whether you have to write your IAS exam for that. I think after your MSc or your graduation, I think, and then I mean it is interdisciplinary. It depends upon how dynamic you are. I mean that is what I feel. So you have to write a lot of competitive exams, I feel, if you want to get into that.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions? Any other question?
Somebody has raised
Okay,
the
ma'am.
hands, I
Yes,
think.
ma'am. There is a question from Nikita Vijayan. If a person from other fields of home science, can that person opt for these careers?
Yes, they can opt for it, but then you are not trained. I mean, in the sense, supposing you are a nutritionist, you have done your MSc Masters in Nutrition, so you will have an option in working with UN organization. You will have an option in working with NGOs. Yes, you have, but then you will not. Your job profile will be different. That is all. So you will be working for nutritional, needs of the people. Okay, so like that. So it will be something like that. For example, you're an extension person, more of a communication related, things, profile. Your job profile will be related to that. So this is what I feel. But you can, yes, UN organization is offering a lot of jobs for people.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, can you please repeat the website name, please?
Yes, it is NGO Darpan. Yeah, it is NGO Darpan.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, Syed Samina is asking about the NGOs in Andhra Pradesh.
Yeah, you can go in on that site, and there you can get of across India, whatever state you belong to, you can get the list of NGOs there. It's a government website. Okay. So
Thank
you
you,
can
ma'am.
opt there. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I think she got it. Yeah. Now, Sheetal is asking about the examples of funding agency for doing project.
Funding agencies, earlier UGC was doing. Right now UGC is not giving any funds to the colleges, but yes, you can apply for you can clear your net, and you can be a fellow. You can get the fellowship from there if you clear that. Then there are ICSSR is giving funds to people in this field, social sector. Okay, DRDO is giving funds to people. Okay, a lot of corporate offices are giving funds to people. You really have to tap them, go and visit them, talk to them. So a lot of people are giving funds. Government is giving a lot of funds to people. I have a list where yes, so you can get funds from government directly. Okay, and you can get funds from, apart from all this, Aga Khan is also giving funds to people who are working in this field. Okay, so it all depends. There are research projects, there are social projects that you can opt for.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Is there any more question? Yes, one more question, ma'am. Is there a scope of government sector for students like us?
Yes, you have. I told you, you can check. You can be a consultant. You can work with ICDS. Okay, you can work with with ministries. Okay, so they keep on taking up opportunities and put it in the newspapers so many times, or on their websites. So you can apply there. There's a lot of options. A lot of our friends are working as consultants in ministry, but the problem is have to first work. You have to have a little bit of experience in social sector. You can't just straight away get into that. If you have to give consultation, you need to have experience. So you have to work in fields.
Thank you, Sujata ma'am. The link for NGO Darpan is given in the chat box. And is there any more question? Okay, I think that's all from the participants. Once again, thank you, Sujata ma'am, for the wonderful presentation, and thank you so much for your valuable time and for answering all the questions patiently. Thank you so much, ma'am.
I really want to thank Sitara for actually connecting me to HSAI. Thank you so much. And thank you, Atira, so much for inviting me.
Pleasure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. It's a pleasure meeting you and hearing you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,